here is one of those ugly experiences people encounter in this life. This was between a young man in a high school, a teenager in a high school, who stood his ground, attested to what nature has created him or designed him to be. He made affirmation that a man is a man, a woman is a woman, and then he got arrested for standing for what nature has created people he has always seen to be in this life. Now, here is the thing. Is gender change supposed to be a topic of discussion? Because everyone is born with either male or female reproductive organs. Those who are born with none or both of them are considered birth defects. That's what we learned biologically, medically, So if you check some of the explanations and questions that people ask, how many genders are there scientifically? There are two biological sexes, male and female. Intersex is a term used for disorders of sexual development, DSD. So it went on to explain further. All of us know all this. So I'm not here to lecture everyone, but to share this ugly encounter by this little boy or a teenager in a high school. Funny enough, anyway, I'm going to put the video here for you to watch this very content. And in your own society where you were born, you watched everyone in that society. You grew up in that particular society. I mean, how many genders were there or are there currently? Because in my own very society where I grew up, where I was born, I was brought up to know about just two genders, male and female genders. Even all the schools that I've been going to school in the past 20-something years of my life. I've always been taught about two genders. Though until recently they said our society has only acknowledged just two genders, male and female, but this has never been true. Many cultures and societies around the world have always known and embraced the knowledge that there are more than two genders. In some cultures, there are 3 or 4 genders. My friends and my brothers, this is why I ask, are there more than 2 genders in your own society where you were born, bred? How many genders have you experienced, your society acknowledge? Let us know. Why we put on this video for you to see the encounter of this growing young man in a high school.
But we watch what's happening in Canada because it's fascinating. How could such a nice country become totalitarian so quickly? Are there lessons for us? Well, for example, a high school student in Canada has been arrested for declaring that men and women are different. Josh Alexander attended St. Joseph's High School, Catholic high school in Renfrew, Ontario. He was barred from school from the grounds for saying that God created 2 genders, because that's kind of a Christian precept, but also common sense.
So, did you hear that? This young man, a high school boy, was arrested for declaring that men and women are different. That as I am a woman now, that I am different from a man, isn't it? How bad is that? How confusing, how difficult is that for anyone to understand? And it was really contradictory because he is also in a Catholic school, St. Joseph's Catholic School. And he was arrested. Let's go on.
Josh, first to you. You were arrested because you showed up on campus at a Catholic school for saying that men and women are different. Have we overstated that?
No, that's exactly what happened. There was a lot of steps that it took to get to that point, but female students complained to me, and they said they were concerned because males were using their washrooms. This turned into a debate at the school, and I stated my opinion on it, and I used scripture to back that up, and they removed me from the building for the remainder of the year, and when I attempted to attend class, I was arrested and charged.
So did you really understand that? He said there was an argument. The females were complaining that boys were using their own toilet. You know what happens these days? Especially those who claim that they are no longer a girl or a boy. Now they are confused as to where to go, whether a men's toilet or imagine you in a female toilet and you see a full-grown man walking into the toilet. You will be surprised, somebody that this person is actually I'm talking about in the secondary school setting. You know that this your classmate has always been a boy. Now your classmate would follow you to the girls' toilet. You would feel uncomfortable. So the females were complaining to this guy, and this guy raised the issue. This young man, Josh, standing affirming the fact that yes, there are differences between a boy and a girl. It became a problem. He said one of the days he came to school, he got arrested in a Catholic school. Hear him again.
Did you point out that this is a Christian school and that this is like a core Christian idea because it's like in the Christian book, which some call the Bible?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually tried to have that discussion with my administrators, but they refused to do so.
Mr. Kitchen, my apologies, by the way, on what's happened to your, I think, great country.
I mean, my concern here is that how come the school administrators refuse to listen to this young man? A Catholic school, St. Joseph Catholic School precisely, and they understood very well what Bible injunctions talked about this kind of situation. How come they did not even stand for this young man? What is the difference between a public school and a faith school? Because a faith school is actually meant to be teaching the children the precepts of the Bible, isn't it? I don't know. To be honest, I couldn't really understand this, but let's go on and see what happens at the end.
Well, quickly to you, the police officers who arrested you, a high school student, for quoting the Bible in a Christian school, must have been ashamed of themselves, I would hope. Did they seem embarrassed?
I wouldn't say so. I've had a lot of experience with police over the last couple of years, just through the Freedom Convoy and other events like that, and the police state is quite embarrassing in our country, so no, there was no different response from them.
Are you going to continue high school?
I'm certainly going to try to. I would hope that my personal beliefs wouldn't exclude me from an education, but it would appear that's the way it's going to be.
It's an unbelievable story. I hope you'll both come back. Thank you. Josh Alexander, James.
It's quite a pity. The law is not even doing anything because they believe in freedom of human rights. You have the choice to choose whatever you want to be a cop, to be a leaf, to be whatever. And the sad aspect of it is that this guy has been staying out of school for the rest of the year. He's not allowed to come back to school because he said a man is a man and a woman is a woman. Both of them are two different identities by sex. What is the problem of this world? Where are we? Now there is something Rishi Sunak said that I would like to share with all of you in this very content. And that got me marveled because he maintained his ground that common sense should have told everyone that there are differences. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. Let's hear him first before I conclude.
We are going to change this country, and that means life means life. Now, that shouldn't be a controversial position. The vast majority of hard-working people agree with it. And it also shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught in school about relationships. Patients should know when hospitals are talking about men or women. And we shouldn't get bullied. And we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense.
Did you hear that? It should not be controversial for parents to be told about what their children are being taught. So nobody should force that on you or on your child, that your child can become, now that my son could become a girl. Isn't that madness, utter nonsense? Especially now as an adult, you look at yourself. Have you ever been to the shop to buy alcohol? They would ask you for your means of identification because they want to ensure that you are 18 years of age before you can buy alcohol in the shop, isn't it? It is all right to do so, but I mean, it is not okay for somebody who is less than 18 to buy alcohol. Am I talking sense? But it is okay for a child who is 7 to change their own identity at the age of 7. What does a child, a minor at age 7, what does the person know? This is the law the society has. I don't even know where they figure out all these things. There was a time they were saying if you give birth to your child, do not write sex of the baby in the birth certificate until the child grows up. The child can determine whether he or she wants to become a boy or a girl. Did my parents not... Please, I'm not cussing. This is how I am feeling. Did you hear what Rishi said? Yes, this is, in fact, I like this man for this, to be honest. A parent or parents at school should not be forced. If your child is attending any school, they are talking about all this urigede stuff that is bitter to understand, that is, itching to the ears to understand. You just heard what Rishi said, that it shouldn't be controversial for parents to know what their children are being taught about relationships at school. This is why sometimes they would send you a consent letter when they want to teach all them stuff they want to teach. If you consent that you want your child to take part in the class or in the lesson, good and fine. If you read whatever they want to teach, if it is about homosexual and this and that, if you don't want it, opt for that. Don't sign that paper so that they won't corrupt the mind of that child, And it shouldn't also be controversial for patients at the hospital to be talked about male or female. Sometimes they make this life so difficult these days. No one should bully you into believing that a woman can be anything they want to be, a man can be anything they want to, any sex they want to be. This was exactly the case of this young man. He was bullied right at school by his mates, and his mates' own could have been understandable because they were just his mates, but by the school authority, who then invited the police to come into this case. Not only that, he was withdrawn from school. He stayed out of school for the rest of the year. A young man that is still growing up, a teenager. Can you imagine? Did they try to reconfigure his brains, his thinking, to believe that, what is right is no longer right, rather the opposite? That was exactly what they tried to do to this young man. You've heard our Prime Minister saying it. Nobody should be bullied into believing that what is right is no longer right, that it is the wrong way. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. And that is the simple but short answer, short explanation to all this. Check your dictionary, check Google, check everywhere. If I am sounding like this, you have the right to be whatever you want to be, but do not enforce that. Do not confuse others with that. Yes, do not force your own belief on others. I shouldn't go to the hospital to give birth, and you tell me that I shouldn't put the sex of the child until he grows up. That is madness, because my parents did mine. Yes, and the society where I was, in fact, even in the current society, there are differences. I don't know where all this madness is coming from. I don't know. I think this is the end time. This is just the simplest way to define all these things, because when you look at it, it is entirely were Ishimbaka, it is something that is too hard to chew. Talk more of digesting it, to be honest with you. So we should talk to our children, we immigrants. Though some of the natives here, they frown at such things. I like my pastor in my church. He's a British pastor, but he doesn't really mince words when he talks about all these things. He's always straight to the point. He tells you you can be whatever you want to be, but do not persuade others into believing that. But does that even make it right? He would back it up with Bible verses and all them stuff. Does that make it right? So this is a whole lot. There's one that is always confused. When he goes in the house, he was struggling whether to use the female toilet or the male toilet, because originally he's a male by nature, but he dresses like the female. So when he goes out in the public, if you call him his name, he said, as in the male's name, he said, no, call me a female name, because he's wearing a wig. But when he wants to use the bathroom, he's biased. He said that this is ridiculous. How could he even go in the female bathroom? But he has to do it because he's wearing a hair. Isn't that madness? This is what the dictionary defined here, that there are two genders, biologically, scientifically, a male and a female. And if perchance you have none of these organs, or you have two blah, 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 these things are considered as birth defect. I don't want to say it is birth defect. That's what the dictionary and Google says. You can search for it. And people should learn to accept it like that. I am not criticizing homosexual, what is it called? Lesbianism, that one is a different case. Two women and, those ones, they are not arguing. They are women, but they are doing their thing. But this modern one, Bobrisky's, what are their names? These are the ones that we do not understand. to be honest with you. So we should guide our children jealously, teach them what they are supposed to know, ensure that they are what you believe they are. Yes, because I learned that there used to be one particular school like that too. When these children goes to school, at school they will change their clothes. A boy will wear a female's clothes, the other way around. I said to fear. It is an uncalled for. You shouldn't do that without letting the parents know. And some said they taught these children these things without the parent consent. I think this is exactly what led to this what is it called, Rishi Sunak's explanation so far, because I have seen a video in Manchester with Asian people. They were protesting against this, that their children were being taught about this transgender in the class without their consent. I think this was exactly what led to this declaration the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak just made, to be honest, and I go by him. May God bless him for standing for the truth and speaking out the truth. Yes, guys, this is it. Let's pray and watch our children and also talk to them, pray for them, pray with them. Praying for your children is also different from praying with your children. You pray with them, they hear you speak the words, they hear you profess the good things about them. Today I pray that you go to school, you behave well, you become obedient, you are this. They will hear you, they will know that it is different than when you pray for them. They were not there, you were praying for them, than when you pray together with your children. I wish all of us well, and may we stay sane and safe in this world that is already corrupt. Piam. Angel Michael will soon find this trumpet that has been missing and blow it, end everything. When you're gonna just wake, everybody will go and rest.